Hi, I'm DK Will, and this is DK. We'll talk about it.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right.
Before we get into the video, I'd like to turn your attention to a referral link that you'll find in the description below somewhere, or on the page description on my homepage, where you get a $50 off on the Decent Biometric Wallet. And if you have a whole lot of coins, you might be interested in the package discount for the Decent Biometric Wallet 2-pack, where you save $129 off on the regular price. That's one heck of a deal. I hope you take advantage of it, because it's time to preserve and protect your funds. Be your own bank, folks. Let's get into it.
Have in front of you, if you are looking at your screen, is a scripture taken out of the Bible book of Matthew. And I'm going to read it so that you can make sure you hear it if you're not looking at your screen. But it was Jesus who said, "However, I say to you, continue to love your enemies and to pray for those who persecute you, so that you may prove yourselves sons of your Father who is in the heavens. Since he makes his sun rise on both the wicked and the good, makes it rain on both the righteous and the unrighteous. For if you love those loving you, what reward do you have?" Now, as you all know, I don't hide any secret that I'm a Christian man. I'm a man of faith, very deep Bible belief system. And you're equally aware, if you've been on my channel, that I don't choose political parties. I don't vote. I have already been subjected to a kingdom where the king is already appointed, and the king is the one who said those words there. But as Christians, we are counseled to obey the superior authorities, and that would include the governments, even though the governments oftentimes persecute people for their faith. We have to remember that when Jesus came to earth to die for our sins, they persecuted him also, and he was without sin. So it's not uncommon for us to get that, and I'm going to turn this video into something that is a bit on the political side, but not designed to be political, because as you are probably aware, I don't vote, so don't get bound up. But the principle there to continue to love your enemies would have prevented a bunch of terrible things from happening if people would stop getting so charged up over political views and things that they really don't make a difference in the first place, and focused on the more important things. Because if everybody was focused more on the important things, they wouldn't have time to do the stupid things. And one stupid thing done was an attempt to kill Donald J. Trump. Now, sometimes they call him the president, sometimes they call him the former president. One guy even slipped and said killed him. We know that there was not prophecy, but The Simpsons had a thing where he was supposed to die. They always seem to be a bit fortunate, but he didn't die. And the reason I'm doing this video is because now that they're concerned because they shot and they missed. But the failure of the Secret Service has everybody concerned who's in power now, because there's bigger threats in the country, in the United States, than a 20-year-old guy with an AR-15. And that'll be a part of this video too. And that is also the reason why they are so concerned, is because they know that their skin's on the line. That might very well be the reason for Biden's stepping down. If the Secret Service can fail Trump, they can fail him. They can fail anybody that they want eliminated for whatever reason. And you've probably seen hints where the Democrats want Joe Biden out of the way. So, but I'm going to end this video with a clip of Trump giving clips on his recounting of the assassination attempt. And there'll be a link in the description for it. I hope you take a look at it, because unless you are not human, or you are so bound under Satan's control that all you can feel is hate, then the only thing you should feel for the fact that some people lost their lives, some people got hurt, and a former president of this country was nearly killed. Imagine if you were nearly killed. But it was a matter of incompetence. Absolutely incompetence, and maybe even plot. And so this video clip will talk more than I will from here, but I'll jump in when necessary. Pay attention, and I hope I can make my point.
At 6:02 p.m., former President Trump walked on the stage. Thousands were there to see him speak. They would witness the first assassination attempt of a president in more than 40 years. He was immediately surrounded by Secret Service, his ear bloodied. By 6:13 p.m., he was rushed off the stage.
I got you, sir. I got you, sir. Let me get my shoes, sir. Hold on, your head is bloody.
Yeah, someone's on top of the roof. Look. There he is right there.
In a video posted to TikTok, rallygoers noticed the shooter at least 2 minutes before shots were fired. By identifying features of the building and matching the location of the tree in the video, we can tell that this was filmed about 200 feet from the shooter. The gunman was on the rooftop of a nearby glass and plastics company, 450 feet from President Trump. In that same video, one officer appears to be walking along the building, another standing nearby. All of this happening as Trump addresses the crowd. Other attendees also spotted the gunman.
We noticed the guy bear crawling up the roof of the building. We could clearly see him with a rifle. We were telling the police. We were pointing at him for the Secret Service.
Earlier, the would-be assassin was seen behaving suspiciously near the metal detectors at the entrance to the event. In this video, a man who appears to be the shooter was filmed watching the rally near the building he would use for his attack. According to a senator briefed by Secret Service, there was a report of a suspicious person an hour before the shooting. The Secret Service alerted snipers 9 minutes before Trump took the stage.
This is a big crowd.
A local official says that he pulled his head up over their roof where he saw the shooter, who pointed his rifle at the officer.
One of the officers actually boosted the second officer high enough for him to grab hold of the roof. When he was able to pull his head up over the roof, he did in fact see an individual with a weapon.
He saw the shooter.
He did.
And what did the shooter do?
Turned towards him, his weapon pointed at the officer.
He says the officer ducked his head and fell 8 feet to the ground and radioed for help. Law enforcement tells NBC News that there were multiple counter-sniper teams at the rally handling security. Video captures one team about 150 feet northeast of Trump appearing to react to something just before the first shot is heard. At 6:11 p.m., Trump turns his head to reference a chart on stage.
If you want to really see something...
Moments later, popping sounds erupt. Nine shots are heard over 16 seconds, ending with one person killed, the former president wounded, and 2 rallygoers seriously injured. The gunman dead on the rooftop.
The gunman dead on the rooftop, plus that gentleman who died protecting his family. All because of the senseless vitriol that this country has been able to generate when there's bigger threats out there than Donald J. Trump. But people have been so brainwashed, including the politicians that you see here. Brainwashed to hate. Many of them are not brainwashed. They're guilty. But now that they've seen the Secret Service fail and they actually have crossed the line of trying to kill, now they're all scared too. And so now they want to be more concerned because, see, if they can kill Trump, they can kill you too, right? Listen to this.
Without objection, the chair may declare a recess at any time. I now recognize myself for the purpose of making an opening statement. But first, without objection, Representative Mills of Florida and Representative Miller of Ohio are waived onto the committee for the purpose of questioning the witness at today's hearing. Without objection to order. Good morning. Today's hearing is for the American people who are seeking answers about the attempted assassination of President Trump. A little over a week ago, Americans watched in horror as a shooter attempted to assassinate President Donald J. Trump at a campaign rally. The gunman nearly succeeded. The bullet that struck President Trump's head was less than an inch from taking his life. But one rallygoer, Corey Comparator, tragically did not. 2 others were seriously injured. Was exceeded only by the bravery of the law enforcement agents who threw themselves in harm's way when shots were fired. The bravery of a crowd unwavering in its refusal to panic, and the bravery of a bloody President Trump refusing to run. While we give overwhelming thanks to the individual Secret Service agents who did their jobs under immense pressure, this tragedy was preventable. The Secret Service's protective mission is to protect U.S. and visiting world leaders and safeguard U.S. elections through protection of candidates and nominees. The Secret Service has a zero-fail mission, but it failed on July 13th and in the days leading up to the rally. The Secret Service has thousands of employees and a significant budget, but it has now become the face of incompetence.
And it didn't really matter until the bullet was shot, because now they're concerned about themselves. But see, somebody has to take accountability, correct? Yeah, Jackson Lee's a little shady too, but you notice she takes full responsibility, and rightly she should. But this gentleman's going to grill her a little bit and pay very close attention to what he says in the end, because now they're motivated, because see, they're politicians too. And they know they've drummed up a fervor in the populace for people to do stupid things like try to kill somebody and risk the lives of tons of people. But there are worse threats in the borders of the United States than a 20-year-old with a gun. That's the narrative, at least. Listen to this.
Now, that would be a threat not just to Donald Trump, but it would also be a threat to the crowd there, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Are ISIS terrorists and Al-Qaeda terrorists and international groups and terrorists more capable than a 20-year-old in pulling off either a mass shooting or an assassination of Donald Trump?
Sir, again, there was clearly a breakdown and a failure that day.
Have you read the intelligence of the terrorists that are currently in the United States that Director Wray speaks, and those individuals that are here that are affiliated with terrorist groups and organizations that are in the process, as Director Wray said, of representing a significant threat of a terrorist attack occurring in the United States?
I have read reports that apply specifically to the Secret Service's mission.
Director Cheatle, because Donald Trump is alive, and thank God he is, you look incompetent. If Donald Trump had been killed, you would have looked culpable. There is no aspect of this that indicates that there has been any protection to Donald Trump. The threat was identified before he took the stage, and the shooter was only killed after Donald Trump himself was killed. Not only should you resign,
Donald
if you
Trump
refuse
wasn't
to do
killed.
so, President
That's
Biden needs to fire you, because his life, Donald Trump's life, and all the other people which you protect are at risk because you have no concept of the aspect that the security footprint needs to be correlated to the threat. I yield back.
And all the other people that you protect. See, they realize now that this has reached the kinetic level where people are actually shooting guns at people. And so they could die too. Oh my goodness, what if they had just loved their neighbor and done their job? Let's proceed.
And thank you so much for joining us, Congressman. You are on the House Oversight Committee as well as the Homeland Security Committees, which are investigating this assassination attempt on Donald Trump. Give me your reaction to this news that Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheatle is resigning.
I mean, look, I think this is the right move, actually. I think you've heard from Democrats that they believe that what happened was a complete failure. No gunman should have been allowed to be that close within range to almost assassinate a candidate for president, a former president. And so this was the right decision. I thought that she was unable to answer questions in the committee yesterday. I think the fact that we're going to have a bipartisan task force that's going to actually still look at what actually happened and how we can make serious improvements in the future in the Secret Service agency is also really, really important. But I would also just caution us that we still have a lot of work to do, and this issue is not settled. This was an incredibly serious breach of security. We know that the president was almost assassinated, and moving forward,
The president?
presidents, vice presidents, candidates need to be protected.
I thought it was, see that? Need to be protected. Vice presidents, everybody, we need to be protected. There's terrorists that have crossed the borders. We've created our own mess because we couldn't follow a simple, basic principle. So now the narrative is Joe Biden is stepping out of the race. Well, that should alleviate him being a target, but that doesn't stop him from still being the president. I did a short in the past that I thought that he was going to die and then Kamala Harris is going to take over, at least for a little while, and then things are going to come to a halt. I still believe that. I still believe that. The man's still alive now, but I still believe that. And I'm not wishing him dead because that would make me a hypocrite, because that's not even partly what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is the world has gone completely out of its mind. And now people are willing to kill each other over political beliefs. And sadly, some people think it's a wonderful thing. And that's why on the end of this, I have a bit of Trump telling the story. And I encourage everyone to watch the whole video of his speech about what happened to him. And unless you are not a human being, you should at least care. Imagine how you would feel if he's genuine, if he loves this country, if he's trying to do the best for this country, and then someone in this country tries to kill him. Oh, I assure you, I know what it feels like to be betrayed by those you really care about, by those you're really trying to help. I understand fully how that feels. It is traumatic. But now Biden recognizes the threat, because even if he were a part of the attempt to assassinate Trump, and I don't know that he was, and I'm not implying that he was, he still recognizes that there are, factions on both sides. And he's just as vulnerable as the next guy if the Secret Service is bumbling around. He certainly is. So what reaction should he have?
President Biden's historic decision to step down as nominee so late in the process comes as a growing number of top Democrats in Congress called for him to step aside due to concerns about his physical and cognitive health, believing that it's best to allow a replacement to face off against Donald Trump in November.
Probably a good idea. Who's going to face off? We don't know. But keep in mind, I don't vote anyway. This is about humanity. And I don't have any remorse for not voting. So some people might get on here and tell me, hey, you should vote, otherwise you should shut up. No, I shouldn't shut up. I'm going to tell you why I shouldn't shut up. Because I am a United States citizen. My father served in the military. Every brother I have served in the military. I pay my taxes. I obey the laws. My taxes provide the services that we all share. My taxes provide the services that people who cross the border share. Okay? So I can speak all I want. I don't have to vote. I just have to obey the laws and pay my taxes. And that's what I do. But those of you who do vote, who get so incensed in your vote that you've forgotten that this is supposed to be a home of the free and land of the brave, or if I said that right, I hope I said it right. If I didn't, you still get the point. If we're not free to express ourselves, are we free? If you're not free to vote how you want without a bullet coming your way, are you free? No, you're not free. And now the politicians recognize that bullets are willing to be thrown, and now they're concerned. Because in 40-some years, nobody's tried to do that. That's not true, because back in the 80s, they tried to do, well, that would be 40-some years. They tried to do Reagan. I was thinking of Kennedy. So the point is, now I'm going to share some of the excerpts from Trump's speech. And imagine you being this man standing on stage, knowing that the people you love and that you didn't even have to come and politic for. You're a billionaire. Your life is good. Your family's good. You don't have to be here. That's how I see the man. I don't have a reason to hate Trump. I don't know Trump. But I know people. I'll shut up there. Let's listen in.
Let me begin this evening by expressing my gratitude to the American people for your outpouring of love and support following the assassination attempt at my rally on Saturday. As you already know, the assassin's bullet came within a quarter of an inch of taking my life. So many people have asked me, what happened? Tell us what happened, please. And therefore, I will tell you exactly what happened, and you'll never hear it from me a second time because it's actually too painful to tell.
I fully understand, too painful to tell. I went through something where I felt so betrayed. I've been betrayed many times in my life. And it was extremely painful to tell and to listen to people lie. And so, where's your humanity? Whether you love them or hate them. You see, the scriptures say, continue to love your enemies, and I'll touch on that on the end. But let's continue listening to this man recount an attempt on his life. Can you really say that unless you've been in that situation? How it feels?
Were absolutely amazing. In order to see the chart, I started to, like this, turn to my right and was ready to begin a little bit further turn, which I'm very lucky I didn't do, when I heard a loud whizzing sound and felt something hit me really, really hard on my right ear. I said to myself, wow, what was that? It can only be a bullet. And moved my right hand to my ear, brought it down. My hand was covered with blood, just absolutely blood all over the place. I immediately knew it was very serious, that we were under attack, and in one movement proceeded to drop to the ground. Bullets were continuing to fly as very brave Secret Service agents rushed to the stage, and they really did. They rushed to the stage. These are great people at great risk, I will tell you, and pounced on top of me so that I would be protected. There was blood pouring everywhere, and yet, in a certain way, I felt very safe because I had God on my side. I felt that. The amazing thing is that prior to the shot, if I had not moved my head at that very last instant, the assassin's bullet would have perfectly hit its mark, and I would not be here tonight. We would not be together. The most incredible aspect of what took place on that terrible evening in the fading sun was actually seen later. In almost all cases, as you probably know, and when even a single bullet is fired, just a single bullet, and we had many bullets that were being fired, crowds run for the exits or stampede, but not in this case. It's very unusual. This massive crowd of tens of thousands of people stood by and didn't move an inch. In fact, many of them bravely, but automatically stood up looking for where the sniper would be. They knew immediately it was a sniper. And then began pointing at him. You can see that if you look at the group behind me. That was just a small group compared to what was in front. Nobody ran, and by not stampeding, many lives were saved.
Nobody ran, and by not stampeding, many lives were saved. I'm going to show you another way many lives can be saved, and it's in front of you again. However, I say to you, continue to love your enemies and to pray for those who persecute you, to love your enemies. Now, many have been convinced that Donald Trump is their enemy, or the other guy is their enemy, or this political party is their enemy, and that political party is their enemy. The true enemy is an unseen enemy. And he's ruling over the people who don't do what you see in front of you there. Why? So that you may prove yourselves sons of your Father who is in the heavens, since he makes his sun rise on both the wicked and the good, and makes it rain on both the righteous and the unrighteous. So if God has not condemned anybody so wicked as that he stops the sun from shining on them, or stops the rain from falling on them, or stops the food from going in them, who are we to think that we can decide who lives and dies? It says, for if you love those loving you, what reward do you have? Yeah, it's easy to love the people who love you. But what about the people who don't? You see, they're afraid now because their lives are on the line, just like Trump's life is on the line. And as you are fully aware, he played that Italian opera song that basically says, I'm going to come back and get y'all, which I'm not condoning that either. But nonetheless, if the Secret Service can fail Trump, the Secret Service can fail them. But for those of us who are not in the politics, and those of us who are not Donald Trump or Joe Biden or anybody that really matters in that respect, it doesn't absolve us of the duty to love our enemies. And as a matter of fact, it's better if we would just stop being enemies, wouldn't it? And so this might be a little controversial, but I'm going to say it anyway, because this woke crap is getting on my nerves. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I know a man, when he gets up and slings his thing and pees in the pot and looks in the mirror and sees that he's a man and shaves off his whiskers, he knows he's a man. So why tell everybody to identify him as a woman or a cat or a dog or anything else? Same goes for a woman. When she sits down to pee or has to cover her menstrual cycle or has breast budding from her body, she knows she's a woman. You see, that's how crazy it's been. That's how mentally ill people have become. But the worst part is people have become so mentally ill that they will try to kill. And the only reason they care, because, see, there's no honor among thieves, and Washington, D.C. knows it's loaded with thieves. Now they don't know who they can trust. Who's going to try to assassinate me? Who's going to get me out of the way? What Iranian terrorist didn't like something I said? They don't know, and now they're scared, and now they want a better job from the Secret Service, when all they had to do from the very beginning is to continue to love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. I'm DK Will, and this is DK Will Talk About It. I kind of feel like I rambled, but I still talked about it. So I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. Get off your high horse. Love your neighbor, which is the second greatest commandment out there under love God. I believe Trump does love God. Does he know the true God? I don't know, but at least he's humble enough to bow his head. Try it and have a wonderful day.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right.